Fight Night Podcast. Hosted by The Plan, Zash Man. The Victorian Brother, Brutus Valentine. And everyone's favorite man, all up in smoke, Duarte the Pot. Ladies and gentlemen, they're ready to rumble, so let's go to the studio. Take it away, Zash Man.
And welcome back to LJN Fight Night Podcast. I'm your host, Zash Man. These are my two main boys, Brutus Valentine and Duarte Ponta.
How's it going? I seen you, what's it called again? Showed you a little LGM Custom Figures website, which I ordered some of from the website, and there they are. Little Coco.
How did you go with that order? Did you
Incredible.
Get it on time?
Always on time. And I loved what you did with Coco Beware's hands. I mentioned that to you, and the way you changed the skin tone on it, I thought it was incredible, man. I saw it, I was like, wow. He goes really into detail with this.
Oh, thanks, DD.
And it was shipping was friggin' the fastest ship you ever seen coming from Australia, to tell you the truth.
I pride myself on shipping times, so I get a little help from Brutus Valentine there, who helps me with my shipping. How are you, buddy?
Okay, that's good to hear, because we were down. We had no shipping to Canada for 6 weeks or something like that. So that's good that it's finally coming up. So while we're on it, people are up north, you can grab one of those, right?
Brutus, you got yourself a haircut, I noticed, from 2 weeks ago.
No, it's the same. It's the same hair. It's just falling out. So,
and
then, of course, Hasbro is sold out, but we have a link. We have a link up, because suddenly when you sell out, everyone wants it, and I need to get a certain number of orders before I can do a second printing, and we're getting close. But you can actually buy it online for $0. So essentially, you're registering your interest to buy it, and we're almost there. Because people know I've got to print at least a big number of these. Otherwise, the unit cost is extremely high, and no one would buy it at that cost. Have
you worked on that the Black Series book that you said you were going to try to do a limited edition of 100 copies?
I've just been working on real work.
Yeah, real work. Yeah.
Yeah, because this is the time of the year for my real job where I get about half my sales potential, and after last year, I need those sales.
Of course.
Yeah.
Now, Brutus, where can they show their interest in the Hasbro book?
I just go to hasbook.com. Actually, I think there's a link on my Facebook on Brutus Valentine, and I can put one up on LJN Elite Customs. It's a direct link into it, and you essentially just you're registering your interest to get it, and we're almost there.
And he'll sign it, and he'll sign it himself with the letters BV, which he did for hours and hours to get that perfect signature.
Yeah, that'd be on the LJN one, but I've shown it on here over and over and over and over again. Right.
So if you want to purchase an LJN book, you can also contact Brutus Valentine or go on to the LJN book website, which all you really need to do is Google LJN
in Google. Don't be like that guy on Amazon who bought one a few weeks ago and has just asked for a refund because he says it's no longer needed because he can't wait. Hiya, if you're watching. Right.
Get out of here.
What that means is, so I've had to pay bloody $27 to ship it over. I'm assuming it'll come back, and he might have to pay that much to send it back. And I don't know, I've never heard of buying something. Do you go to a restaurant and order a steak, and then when the bloke's bringing it out, you say, no, it's no longer needed. I don't need it anymore. Right? It's that sort of situation.
How can you not need the book anymore? I don't know.
I think the book goes hand in hand with the collection.
Yeah,
that's just me, in my opinion.
And a part of his name shared a part of your name, so he might be a fellow man of war.
Who, me?
No. Part of his name shared one of your names, so he might be a fellow Portuguese person.
One of my names.
Yeah,
one of his names. Hont or Duarte.
There's no other Duartes. Come on, I'm like one and the only out there. Come on.
I'm not going to name anyone on there, but anyway, that's that. So I'm having my whinge, my one sale for about 3 weeks, and there you go.
Have you got it at the system? Can we get on with the show now? Whinge over.
Yeah, of course. Bring on the guests already.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our first guest on Friday night podcast. Is that what we're called? Fight Night Podcast.
You're Friday. I'm still Thursday here.
15th episode. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring him on. And coming on the show, hailing from all the way down the road at Quakers Hill, Sydney, my main man, the guy that lives for Hasbro. He has more Hasbros than anyone, Peter Poulos.
There's the picture in the end I was waiting for.
Hey, how you going?
There he is, with his Hisense shirt on.
Yeah, I'm actually on the clock. I'm on my lunch break, so well done.
We're doing two things: getting paid and having fun. Why not?
Why not? Why not?
Extended lunch break.
Hey, hey, lunch takes a while to eat, man.
Did you end up finishing the Hasbro collection in LJN style or no?
I did, yes.
Nice.
You did every figure, right?
I did every one, and I mean, obviously not variants. I even did the just for that.
Did you do,
I did it in a separate post? I did the slaughter as well.
You did the slaughter in a separate post.
Yeah, in a separate post. I kept it just in case.
Did you do the Killer Khan and the prototypes that were supposed to come out too, or no?
I have done a Killer Khan. Yeah. I didn't post it with that one, but I did the prototype Killer Khan.
How about the prototype Naked Liz?
No. No, didn't do Naked Liz.
I guess only me and Dash did one of those.
Yeah, no. I'll leave that for other people to do.
Well, we got a message from Joe Petka. You tardy MFs. We were a bit tardy today. It was my fault, Joe. I take full responsibility today. We're now doing the show every fortnightly, so it's for you guys in America that don't say fortnight. It's every 2 weeks. So yeah, you can catch us every 2 weeks now. You guys will get used to it. But I'm going to bring on our next guest. It is last week we had Jacques Rougeau from the Fabulous Rougeaus. We've got another wrestler on this week who is coincidentally one of the great customizers as well.
Sinn Bodhi!
Dan, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Did you like that little intro I made up for you?
Yeah, that was very, very cute. I just realized how ridiculous I've looked over the years as I was watching that.
I was about to say, I was going to say you had lots of different looks, like not too many of the same. It's always different.
Yeah, I always kind of was in that sort of Undertaker mindset where like I was always me, but always going through different phases of stuff. You know, like how Taker was the mortician, then the devil, then the cowboy, then the biker, then the cowboy again, and the different cowboy or MMA kind of version, whatever. So I just always I'm artsy fartsy. I get bored. I got to try new stuff, and there you go.
And you do your makeup yourself, no?
Yeah, it takes me about 5 minutes tops.
Oh. just slap it on and get on the ring and just do your thing.
Well, I don't make it look all nice and pretty and exact. Like I want it to look like I've been sleeping in it for a week under a lion cage somewhere in some God forbid circus.
Nice.
I get to a lot of indie shows over the years, and a promoter will give me a couple of like henchmen to come to the ring with or something. They want me to be in a faction, and they'll put a couple of wrestling students in clown paint, and they show up with these nice shiny tights with logos on the side, and then this really pristine clown paint. I'm like, okay, guys, reach into my pocket, give them a few bucks, go hit the thrift store, go buy some old golf pants or coveralls or something, go cut it up, burn it, rub it on the concrete, make it ugly, and splash some water in that stupid paint so you don't look like you just went to the mall and got your face did. I need you to look organic and not like you're some idiot in a costume.
I remember seeing back in the late 80s in one of the PWI magazines, and they had a photo of Hawk and Animal in front of a mirror, pre-match, putting on their makeup. It sort of defeated the mystique of Hawk and Animal when they're sitting there with their little brushes putting it on. But of course, I mean, that's what the guys had to do.
Me and Ryzen, who is a AEW wrestler right now, and Zach Monstar, I think, who is a Florida local wrestler, and I want to say, I think Shannon Moore too. And somebody took a funny photo of us all in the bathroom, putting our powder in our nose, putting all our paint on. And so it was the most ridiculous, stupidest thing. And they're like, so sometimes you can let the fans see sort of the lighter side of the shenanigans and all that stuff. But yeah, because we're all giant children, really, all of us, like Road Warrior, Hawk, and Animal Wrestler Souls. I mean, they're buddies of mine. Hey guys, what's up? And we're all giant children. We're all just goofing around.
Nice.
So what do you guys out there want to hear from Sinn Bodhi tonight? Do you want to hear more about his customizing?
I actually picked up a custom from Todd Tomero about him, and I was just asking Sinn, I don't even know what face makeup I'm going to do. There's like 30 to choose from. I'm probably going to choose the most easiest one because just simple colors just to pop your face. But then after just look at you right now, your arms, there's a shitload of tattoos. That's another thing. So I'm going to look for an outfit. I'm going to look for an outfit, like a picture online that you're wearing like covering most of it, so I don't have too much work to do.
Right. Well, when I was Kizarny on SmackDown, the guy that was in charge of making all the toys and the figures and stuff, his name was Mike. There is Mike. I don't know if he's there anymore, but anyway, he was sort of saying, "Man, your action figure is going to look really, really cool. It's so unique and weird. It's going to be a pain in the ass to make." But a lot of the other figures he thought were kind of so similar, where you almost have to look at the name to see the difference, like the clean cut guys and undies and kick pads or whatever. And then there's this crazy weird thing with the long blonde hair and the weird beard and the tattoos. Even my jammies were weird, so but then right before we went to production, I got canned, and then everything just came to a halt, and then that was that.
Such a shame.
Yeah.
On what Dwight was saying, I'm at the phase of my customizing where I'm bored by just painting flesh, one color trunks, one color boots, hair, and eyes.
I like different colors. I
want to paint something a bit more challenging for me, like maybe something like your face paint, your tattoos, and stuff like that. Imagine having to paint these tattoos. That is a massive challenge.
Oh, and never mind the head tattoo. I totally forgot about the head. Yeah. I'm just gonna do your clown makeup face covering the whole head. I don't care.
So my wife to be. I'm getting married next Sunday.
Congratulations! You get a message up here, congratulating you on that.
Oh, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate that.
Paris Anderson, that one.
Paris. Oh, thank you, everybody. I really do appreciate that. She was healing on me the other day. Well, I don't know, it's maybe a few weeks ago now. But I sent out, somebody ordered an LJN meat. So I put all this detail work and made all the splatter on all the butcher's apron and the tights and the boot. Like the boots are pretty gnarly too. And what I did was very squiggly. I kind of Bob Rossed a lot of the tattoos because it's so busy. And I kind of put it in like a sort of a powdery dark blue. So like it doesn't look so obnoxious as black, because a lot of people want black on the tattoo. She's like, that looks like shit. She's like, everything else looks great, and then you fuck it up with this shitty tattoos. Like, redo it. I'm like, I'm not redoing it. I think it looks good. She's like, no, redo it. It's the shits. I'm like, the guy already saw the picture. He liked it. He was happy with it. Like, and she's like, no, motherfucker, you know. Like,
So did you end up redoing it or no?
I did. Happy wife, happy life.
So at the end of the day, you listened to her and you did what she asked.
Hey, brother, I will tell you, that's her right there. I will tell you, I'm afraid of no man or beast, but my little 5-foot wife scares the shit out of me. So I just said, yes, the two magic words. Yes, dear.
Yes. Peter, do you put the tattoos, because you move out of just the LJN era where there was only Rick Rude and Bam Bam Bigelow? Do you put the tats on, and One Man Gang? Do you put tats on your little Hasbro recreations?
Yeah. So depending on how well known the person is, sometimes you can find a good image online that I can then print onto a clear decal. If it's like, say for example, The Godfather, when I made The Godfather, he's covered in tattoos similar to Sinn there. I literally just got like a really sort of old crusty brush and just dabbed and then dabbed again till I got like what looked like a tattoo, and then if there's any sort of distinct thing, like say for example in the tattoos there's a couple of distinct things, and you just draw a little bit. So if you just try and keep it simple, but there's no way that I could get that sort of detailed tattoos on the arms that I've got by hand. I couldn't do it. So but I
would definitely order decals. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, decals are they can look great or they can not look great. So it's a risky game with decals. So.
Just on a side note, I just got to say that I think Peter's Hasbro customs are just awesome, by the way.
Thank you. Yours are awesome too, man.
Oh, thank you.
It's a body of work, which is why I really like it so much, and because it's from the era as well. But it really is in itself a body of work. It could easily be a book, but I'm behind on all the others, so I'll shut up. So
yeah, but it's a very small figure too. You're painting, because I could just imagine like painting a figure like this size, and then it's like a fraction of the size. Like I wouldn't be able to do it. Like I wouldn't even be able to. I would be messing up the eyes 1,000% all the time. I'd be going, pop, massive eye, redo again.
I totally agree with Mark.
I went through probably in the last 6 months, because when I first started, I was using brushes for eyes. And I'm using pens for eyes now, the little fine tip paint pens. I went through and skin colored all the original faces that I painted with the eyes, and I redid all my eyes, because a good set of eyes can really make a difference on the figure, I reckon.
Don't get
I still don't get them right. Of this one here, I'll just show you, I'm just doing Bundy at the moment, and I'm still, I think I've done that about. It's hard to see. I think I've done those about 4 or 5 times just to try and get it right. It's a bit hard to see.
That's sort of weirdly, that's my pet peeve when I see guys put such awesome work into a custom, and then I see these big giant eyes because they've overpainted the eyes, like that overpainted thing where they look like they're all bugged out. It just drives me bonkers because everything else looks great, and then it just, to me, that just makes it look. Yeah.
So what I do now is I sort of I do like a white oval for the eye, and then I do the pupil with a couple of dots. And then once that dries, then I get a thin brush with skin, and I keep going around and around, really sort of around the eye till I get it the right size. Because you're right, we don't have pupils that go over the the sockets. You know what I mean? So they're right there. So yeah,
it's almost more is or less is more. Like where you can barely see the stuff. So you put too much white, like they just think, oh, white and the big circles. No. Not like that. Like if you put that underneath and then, like you said, go over top of it. Then cool.
That's right. That's how I've been doing it lately, and I think it does make a difference. Not all perfect, never perfect, and I'll probably take me about 5 or 6 goes to get it to look, 75.
It's the same sometimes with the teeth.
He does way too much work to it. The ones that even puts like the red veins on it, like that's.
Zash does such a good job. It almost looks creepy. It looks like those dolls that run around when you're sleeping and stuff.
Like I'm looking at Coco's eyes, and I see like the redness in his eyes as well. I'm like, I couldn't even do that. I could barely do the dot and then the dot over it. I could barely keep within the lines, doing little dashes already. Get out of here.
It was always the same, like how Pete said about the white of the eyes and going back over it with the, like kind of casing it in with the splash tone. It's the same with the mouth, because if you don't put the right stuff, if you put the teeth in and then you leave them be, it looks like they've got toothpaste all in there, like they just get caught brushing their teeth. You got to kind of re-put the skin over top to kind of case it all in and everything.
They're eating a plate of custard.
Yes.
That's good.
I personally don't use white for teeth or eyes. I never use white for it. I use an off-white, or I mix some yellow or something in with the white, just because it for me doesn't have that brightness that takes everything onto it. It mellows it out and looks softer,
like an off-white type of thing. You're saying, right?
Some people do more cartoony sort of customs, which they look great, white eyes and white teeth on. But we all have our own little styles.
Yeah. Everyone has different techniques, looks, and that's what makes everyone's figures unique from different. Like you could tell yours, everyone's is different the way they do it, right?
But it's neat to kind of see, oh, that's a Zash figure, or that's a Duarte figure, or that's a Nick Hales figure or something. You can kind of just see, or like Todd, you can see the Tom stuff.
Sin, I am proud that you said my name right. Not too many people say my name right off the hop, so I'm good for you, man.
Well, I, like you, am a snow Mexican, so I get how to say the word, the Duarte and all that stuff. I was born in the snow. If you want to go, I'm up in the snow.
That's where I'm from right now. You know that.
Yeah, you were from Toronto, right?
Yeah, Mississauga. Yeah.
Yep, me too. I was born in Etobicoke, raised in Orangeville, and then later on I grew up in Toronto as like a.
And now you're in Sin City.
Sure am. Sure, I bounced all over the world, and I stayed in different places. Like I stayed in England for quite a long time. I stayed various places in the U.S. for a long time. I stayed in Tampa for ever, Louisville, all over. But I love Vegas, but my heart is in Florida. I really love Florida.
Did you ever get
that's where I want to croak. I want to croak in Florida. I want to die old and go grayer in Florida.
Did you get down to Australia?
I have been to Australia. I've only was there once. I thought it was beautiful. It's gorgeous.
You obviously didn't come to where Zash and I live, though.
Well,
what's wrong with our area?
At the time that I was there, it was like right after my release from SmackDown. I want to say Australia was one of the first places that I went post SmackDown, and it was awesome. There's a fun show down there, and the promoter was cool. The wrestlers were cool. The fans were cool. The promoters took me on an off day. They're like, "Where do you want to go?" And I'm like, "I want to go to the zoo. I want to see kangaroos and stuff." So they took me there, and then the next day that we had off of this tour, we did like a 10-day tour or something. That took me to like a Marilyn Manson concert or something. I hadn't seen Marilyn Manson playing, so I was like, okay. But it was really neat just driving down the street and seeing a kangaroo go across the street. I'm like, all right. And hanging out with koala bears and what was it? I think I could be wrong, but I'm going to take a guess and say that the bird, the cassowary or something, it's like the deadliest bird. It's a man-eating bird. Is that right?
Killing machine.
Zach, you know what the hell I'm talking about?
Yeah,
we've got magpies. They will definitely dive bomb you. But...
Well, I was at this, and I was like nose to nose with this. It looks like kind of like a shorter blue face, purpley faced, like ostrich looking thing.
That's right.
And I'm like, you're a cute little guy. What are you doing, little man? They're like, get your face away from that mate. He'll fucking kill you. And I'm like, all right.
The big talons on their feet are killing machines.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Wouldn't have been the first time somebody busted me open, so it would be long.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Sin.
Yes, sir.
I want to hear a bit more about your wrestling career, if that's all right, and I want to hear what Bray Wyatt liked so much about you that he had to copy you.
Oh boy. Okay. So Bray is a good guy. Wyndham Rotundo, really good dude. When I was in FCW, he was brand new on the scene. He hadn't wrestled before. He was off the gridiron. He's a football guy. And And he would just always ask questions, and he was very respectful and inquisitive, and I guess he just kind of liked what I was up to, and he asked lots of questions. And
how old was he at this stage?
I think I was early 30s when I was doing all that stuff.
Right, early 20s.
Yeah, he's a lot younger. And I had wrestled. Oh boy, I just knowing so many different family members, and like, I'm not going to say that I trained this guy or that guy, but it's an easy way to say that I've got my fingerprints on a lot of wrestlers. Like, I've been in there, I've helped groom them in the ring, or give them ideas in the back, or literally coach them, or it's just so many different levels of input to some of these guys, whether it's Karrion Kross or Zoe Stark or Angelina Love or Crazy Steve or just whoever, Joe Henning, Curtis Axel. Like, I think I was probably Curtis Axel's first 10 matches at FCW when he first got hired. So, because I was always like a good, like, Bull Durham to a lot of guys' meat, if that makes any sense. So, like, I could be a player coach, or I could just be a bumping heel that could really taper down a new, greener, good guy kind of a thing. So I did that for a lot of guys. Like, I was Bo Dallas's Wyndham's younger brother. I was his first couple matches just to get him off and rolling and all that stuff. But Bray's a good dude, and over the years, people have given us grief about, like, I've let him get under my skin a couple of times, and every time I called him out, he was nice about it, and so we're cool. Like, we're good. Because, like, I would text him something funny, like, "Hey, look at this! I did this promo," and then he would do something really similar. I'm like, "Hey, man!" I'd text him the next week, like, "I was just showing you to make you giggle, and I'm showing it to give you as a gift. Like, I'm trying to make a few bucks here on the indie scene while you're making your big bucks over there. Like, let those writers and whatever who are getting paid these big checks, let them think of stuff for you, or you think of stuff for you. I just showing you something and whatever." But I gave him a lot of creative input at the very front end, and I'm happy for that. I'm proud of that. He owes me nothing for that. It's just always cool just to be cool to each other. That's all, like, it's a fraternity and it's a brotherhood and stuff. So, but no, we're cool. We're good. I do appreciate that he's taking a lot of stuff. My wife is really funny. Because, like, you can beg, borrow, steal from everybody. Like, the whole world goes around, and, like, everything I do, I've been influenced by other people, and I take my influences in such little innocuous little bits and pieces. Take this little itty bitty thing and twist it and morph it and pull it and stretch it and take it this and this and this, and then so you never see it. So like Raven was texting me the other day, just going, "Man, I was watching you, and you're so damn smooth, and I can see all the Jake Roberts stuff without seeing any of the Jake Roberts stuff, because Jake was my mentor, is my mentor."
Right. So you still
like, yeah, we're best pals.
Okay.
He'll be at the wedding. Yeah, he'll be at the wedding. But Raven was kind of like, he's so astute. Raven is so clever. He's just like, I could see those little nuances where nobody's ever going to see that that's Jake, but I see where you put little Jake-isms and stuff. And it's just like how you said about getting bored with painting just the flesh tone. You want to put all the little neat little, like Duarte said, like the red in the eyes and like all that kind of stuff. So, but anyway, long story short, I'm happy for Ray's success, and I don't have any ill will. And hopefully wherever he goes next, whatever he does next, hopefully he's happy and successful and safe. And there you go.
Hey, Sinn.
Yes, sir.
Would it be fair to say that, and it's like this in a lot of performative fields, for every one success, there's another 20 who just missed out, or just didn't get their opportunity at the right time, or ended up being a 100%. Stepping stone for someone else, and that's how these sorts of industries work too.
100%. There is. I kind of joke and say like the Roman movie, like 300. There is. I'm way rounding down by 1,000 to say the 300, but there is 300 guys and girls out there that can hang with anybody on Raw, SmackDown, AEW, Impact, New Japan, AAA that you will never ever see because they never got a break.
Yeah.
Like you'll hear guys go, "I bet on myself." No, you didn't. You had somebody already get you booked, because you didn't get booked because you run more yards or got more goals or hit more home runs. This is subjective art. This is who's the better actor, De Niro or Pesci. Who's to say? It's whoever Scorsese wants to give the push to. So that's how that happens.
So how's a good way to get noticed? Like we had Jacques here last week, and he 2 weeks ago, and he has like a little tournament going on for his academy. Like, is that how people get noticed? Like, what's the best route? Like joining stuff like what Jacques has set up for like a little tournament out to get noticed, or like what's the best way?
everybody's story is different. Like you get discovered in different ways, but getting your face on those posters and just showing that you're not just some local 40-mile vet, like showing that, oh, look at this guy. He popped up in Texas. Oh, he popped up in Dallas. He popped up in Memphis. He popped up in Detroit. He popped up in Toronto. He popped up in San Juan. Oh, who is this guy? He must be good. Let's bring him to our show, kind of a thing. So whereas if you're just showing up in Vegas or just showing up in Toronto or just showing up wherever, it's like, okay, they're local grown. They're just, whatever. Are they any good? Are they good enough to the nest or not? So getting out there, getting exposure, and then juggling that with your budget. And, wrestlers don't make, like on the indie scene, wrestlers don't make a whole heck of a lot. As D'Lo would say, like, we are career criminals. We're not little weekend warriors that work at Walmart all week and then go and make our $20 on a wrestling show. Like D'Lo and myself and so many other guys, this is our bread and butter. So you have to be your own travel agent, your own lawyer, your own hairstylist, your own nutritionist, your own everything. And it can be a lot of hats to wear. What's
and
that?
Publicist as well, which is
absolutely.
And digital publicity is a totally different game now because everyone's the best. They're the best that's ever been. And they've
100%.
probably only been in the ring twice. And yet they've got, 50,000 followers who are just pumping them up like crazy. And
what drives me bonkers about that is when I see some boring tweets or Instagrams or whatever, it's like, look at these eggs and toast that I ate, and it gets 20,000 views. I'm like, why does anybody give a flying F about your effing eggs? And then when somebody does something really cool and it only gets 100 or 1,000 views or 1,500 views or something that's really good, I'm like, why is this really cool thing being trumped for the fucking eggs and toast or for,
maybe they're hungry. Maybe they're hungry. They want to know how to make the egg.
I guess, I suppose.
Yeah, nothing good like eggs and bacon in the morning. Come on.
I'm the biggest eggs and bacon mark in the galaxy. Trust me, I love eggs and bacon. But when I tune in to see a wrestler, a musician, an actor, or something, I kind of want to see something interesting.
What about a wrestler magician? Are there any of them? Wrestler magicians?
There is actually. So I just did a little bit on Penn and Teller's Fool Us with a good friend of mine, Shocker, who is basically a magician, but he wears a lucha mask, and he sort of his shtick is he's a wrestling magician. So we did this kind of a wrestling. It's on there. Like you can go look on the Penn and Teller thing, or you can go look on YouTube or on Penn's channel or whatever, and you can see it. It's fun. They topped it over. They put it over as like the funnest segment of the season. So. And it was one of the only things we're like, man, you guys just about had us fooled. And that was the wrestling part was such a big misdirect to the actual swerve of the magic trick. Yeah. But his name is Shocker. He's a really great wrestler, or a really great magician. Shocker. He's one of my freak show wrestling OGs. Like he's a Vegas guy. He's going to be at the wedding as well. And he's just a great guy. He just puts his all into everything. He's so talented. Good dude. But there you go. He is a magician, a wrestling magician.
Cool.
And Peter, you're again, another Australian on, and sometimes people in North America just don't realise how big things are down here and how big it was. Are you still more of an old school guy, or do you catch up on new material?
No, I still watch it. I mean, I'm I think it was actually in my wedding in my wedding speech. I don't sort of, when I like something, I like it and I continue to like it. And I watched WrestleMania 1 when I was about 10 years old. And I think I can't remember a time where I've said, no, I'm not going to watch the wrestling. I've watched it. I still go back and watch old stuff as well. But I keep up with all the new stuff. I like anything. I mean, I've got Impact Wrestling on in the background. I was watching that before I jumped on. So I'll watch any wrestling. I don't really care. I don't think one's better than the other. I think any wrestling's good wrestling. So
this opens up a bit of a chapter of the show that I wanted to speak to you about, Peter. I've received some things off you. We do trades and swaps quite often. We live locally. And I've received stuff off you that has been from the 80s. I've received stuff that you've owned your whole life that has been from the 90s. And literally the whole way through the 90s, I've had magazines off you and stuff where it's been basically from 88 to 2000, and there's been every single sort of monthly magazine or monthly thing subscriptions that you've had. You've been through this your whole life throughout
Pretty
school, and I can't see where you've ever had a break from wrestling in your whole entire life.
Not really, no.
There's a lot of us, like with me, I ventured away and got into alcohol, women, drugs, or whatever it was, and then sort of came back, and then I'll go away and come back, sort of thing. You've just
I remember back they used to play Monday Nitro. It was on I think it was on Saturday night at like 11 o'clock, and then they replayed it. I'd set it to record, and no matter what time I got home on a Saturday night, 6 a.m, as soon as I got home, I'd hit play on that tape and start watching. I mean, I might only get 5 minutes into it, but I'd have to at least see what was going on. So yeah, no, I've liked it pretty much my whole since I was 10 years old. Never really strayed away.
Got the bug. Peter, you've made so many. Who are your favourite guys or girls over the journey?
Oh God,
that you've enjoyed to watch?
Yeah, look, I think I've probably made the most Hulk Hogan's. I think I've made so many Hulk Hogan's, it's not funny, but
Joe Petka. He's
to be honest, I'm really into the 3D. What my thing is at the moment is I want to make the most obscure characters that have been out there. So
I think there's one right there. You know where it is, right there. You should make that right there.
But now that I've talked to you, I'm gonna have to make a Kizarny from SmackDown.
Yeah,
100%. That'll be on my list. But right now, I mean, I don't. I've got it's in work in progress. Playboy Buddy Rose,
one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
Yeah. So I mean, I think he got a Remco, but I'm doing that, and that's a head I got from Warren Warsman. I think I can put a second story on his house over the last 12 months. So,
are you going to put a box for the blowaway diet on him as well?
I think this
what
was
was
he,
217 pound on his back or something?
Yeah. So I've also, stupid things. I've got this Mr. Bag. I'm doing this Buff Bagwell as well. So I don't really contain myself to one era. I just, like I said, I was watching from WrestleMania 1, and even then, I would comb the bookstores and find wrestling's greatest grudge matches, and I've never seen any of these matches, and obviously until YouTube came out. But I would know who these old wrestlers were that were before we got them on television because I saw them in this book. You know what I mean? And
I reckon that book must have sold 50 to 100,000 down here. It was $20 at Dimmicks for God knows how long. You know what I mean? Larry Zbyszko still available into the mid-90s. David Sammartino and
yeah. So there was a whole bunch of those books. So I used to really try and I wanted to know before. Obviously, there was a time before Hulk Hogan, and I tried to look back a little bit, and I've seen a lot of the old Madison Square Garden videos now, just to see what wrestling was like before it, became rock and roll wrestling in the 80s, and it's roughly the same. It just had a little bit less glitz on it, I think. So,
how you guys asked earlier about like the woulda, shoulda, coulda wrestlers that we'll never see before, like Pete just said, before Hulk Hogan. Even guys that were on TV or locally, because it was just local TV, like Houston wrestling or wherever. There's a ton of dudes. If you go down that YouTube rabbit hole and you see so and so, like a Tiger Conway Jr., who I'm going to guess maybe Brutus. If anybody in this screen is going to know who that is, I'm going to guess maybe Brutus. But nowadays,
I heard of Tiger Conway Jr. I just can't place him right away in his body of work.
Yeah, him and just so many other guys are just kind of weirdly getting lost in the pages of history, but they were awesome, and they were precursors. They were pioneers to a lot of the fancier stuff that you would see now. But him and lots of other guys, like he's just the first one off the top of my head, and guys that were like so socially I don't know what the right term is, but like just politically, socially, historically important. Like I like how Pete just said, like making, you know, guys of all eras or whatever. But like, you know, between Gorgeous George to Sputnik Monroe to Gotch and Fez and all those guys, Ricky Dozan.
I'd love to see it. I'd like to see a Gorgeous George. I mean, both Muhammad Ali and Liberace credit their personas to Gorgeous George. And
one of the first customs I made was a Gorgeous George. It was the shits, but I'll send you a picture for shits and giggles. But yeah. It turned out okay. But I want to make a better one now that I kind of halfway know what I'm doing, sort of, kind of, almost.
Yeah.
And so you're doing a lot of 3D printing now, Sid, yeah?
Yeah, it's really, really neat. And I mean, I'm totally still doing every other bit of it, whether I'm chop shopping and Mr. Potato Heading some old vintage rubber wrestler, or whether I am using clay and epoxy and doing it all old school like that, or 3D, or a little bit of all that, casting and molding like heads and growing the heads, like rotospanning the heads of other weird action figures stuff.
Do you have a 3D scanner, Sin?
I don't have a 3D scanner, but I got my hands on so many different files, and then a couple of buddies would send me files, and then I kind of morph it, stretch it, mirror it, you know, do all sorts of weird stuff to it.
Yeah, awesome. And Peter,
Yep.
I wanted to ask you a question earlier, but I'll ask you now.
Far away.
You've been watching from the 80s all the way up to now.
Yes.
Without being biased or prejudiced or anything like that, what is your favorite era of wrestling?
Okay, so I think the most exciting was when there was two really big shows to watch, and so that would have been, you know, sort of around 96, 97, 98.
So you're talking WWF and
so Raw Nitro War. That was when, I guess, you know, the curtain was rolled back a little bit. The internet was starting. I was able to look up and see what was going on when the shows weren't going on. So you kind of, you know, when you started to see, I know they had magazines and whatnot before that, but I mean, those magazines were written for, you know, not I guess they had agendas on them, but
so you used to. I think back then it wasn't Google; it was more Yahoo or something, wasn't it?
You know what? It's funny. I was having this conversation with someone the other day. I cannot remember how I used to find all this crap, but I did. Right. So obviously
there was a few good. Lycos was a good search engine. And
Lycos and I remember
Yahoo
that
one. Yahoo was always shit. Alta Vista sort of went into Google, I think. And there was a thing called Ask Jeeves. Does anyone remember Ask Jeeves?
Yeah, I remember Ask Jeeves. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But so like, and I remember it was right around the time when Hasbro figures were starting to sort of, you know, wind down a little bit. I was looking around and I stumbled onto this page, and it was selling custom Hasbros. So this is my, you know, I guess the first time I thought it, and I bought 4 custom Hasbros that came over from America, and the pictures on the internet looked like awesome. And then I got in the mail, I got these the worst looking things I've ever seen came in the mail. You know, this is before, you know, I guess this was my first let the buyer beware moment. You know, that what you see is not always what you get. But I remember buying a gold dust that looks awesome, and I got a Jake the Snake Roberts body with a rocker Shawn Michaels head painted gold on it. It was dreadful. So I actually tried to make my own back then, but you know, I don't think I had the materials weren't good enough, and they started drying up in the stores, and I didn't bother going on. It wasn't until the retros came out about 4 or 5 years ago that I started getting back into making them myself. So
I was about to get into the Hasbros and like collect them, but then I thought they're a little too expensive about 5 years ago. Now, 1,000% I will not collect them because they're way too expensive, and there's way too many.
I sold all mine to fund this project, you know, all these things, and I probably, if I kept them now, I'd probably be able to fund it for the next 5 years. So Yeah.
You're an awesome toy line.
Yeah, there's way too many. And even with just
imagine the small fortunes we would have now if we didn't get rid of stuff that would have, could have, should have been valuable when we were kids.
Hey, cars are. I'm kicking myself in bigger. So I had an LJ XU1 Tirana that would be worth over 100K now, and just wrote it off and chucked it out basically. But you know, all that kind of thing just blows my mind.
Yeah,
These toys are nothing on the cars. The old cars.
From having Star Wars toys, if we had ever thought to not take those things out of the box and all the, I mean, what little kids can ever do that, you know? And even weirdly, I was in real life, I was just kind of thinking this the other day, like I was just in Florida for Gangrel's wedding, and he lives literally where my grandparents kind of had a place when they were alive, rest their souls. And I would go there as a kid, and I thought, my grandfather, my dad, awesome dude. My grandfather was not an awesome dude. And he forced my grandma to sell that place. It was right on the beach, so he could go back to Toronto. So she could go back to Toronto and just take care of him and make him sandwiches and wait on him. Like he was old school, like a European kind of guy. And I saw that place at the beach. I tried to actually stay there, and it was all booked up. I'm like, man, that place has got to be worth millions now. And he probably made her sell it for a song and a dance because he wanted her back up in the snow to cook him dinner. And I just thought, you MFer. Every time I think about it, I get hot thinking about that.
Damn. That's pretty crazy. But look, let's go on with customs of the week, and we'll chat a bit more about this after. If any of you guys want to talk while the video's on, go for it. We will all hear you talk. I've done this a different way now, so we can all talk.
Nice.
Feel free to say and do what you want.
Moving on up, eh?
Bennett. Angel Lopez.
Wow.
Alan Carpenter. Frank Cubis. Zash Man.
That was great.
Frank Cubis. Zash Man.
Fuck out, say my own name.
That's great.
Kevin Pelkey. Frank Cubis. Jason Esposito. All these by Joseph Almeida. A Whip by Andy Marr. Paul Crease Mask. Shad Gautier. Claudio Piroli. Shad Gautier. Shad Gautier. Sinn Bodhi. Frank Cubis. Alan Carpenter.
There it is, boys. Customs of the week, done a different way.
that was a good Mr. T.
I was going to say that Mr. T was rocked. I saw that. That's
a really good one.
It was like
the videos look great. The music made it feel like it was like we're watching all the people that just croaked or something. Like, obituary list.
When they show the things, and then Paul Shad, go Chad.
Just saying those names.
I was thinking, oh no, who's died? Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah, well, that was a last minute thing, and I just grabbed any music that I could that was on file, and that was the lucky music. I won't choose that again.
You can never go wrong with Grab Them Cakes. Just saying.
So some good customs we've had this week, or the past 2 weeks. Keep your customs coming in on the LJN Elite Customs group. It's been a little bit slow for the customs in the past 2 weeks. I need you guys to pull your finger out and start doing some more work.
Back to school.
It's too cold. It's too cold. Like when I'm slicing and spraying and what's it called, doing the acetone and then whatever, I do it in the garage and it's way too cold, so I don't do it. It's too cold to do any customs right now.
Oh, you're weak. How cold is it?
Oh yeah, please, whatever.
Don't you have a heater?
You not in the garage? What are you kidding me? It's freezing in there.
I was talking to my wife last night. I don't even know how you guys go to work. How do you get up and go to work?
On Saturday, it's going to be -20, and that's without the wind chill.
No thanks.
I know. I hate it. I hate every moment of it.
It's cold today. I have to like just wear. What is it? 25. Yesterday was 34. That's Celsius. So yeah.
Yeah, it's 7 p.m. here in Vegas, and it is a brisk 85 out.
Nice.
I can see that. With cut off sleeves.
Yeah, but like seriously, what happens if you work outside? You know,
I do work outside. I work construction. You just wear layers.
So what happens when you drop your spanner and scrape your knuckle? It would bloody.
What's a spanner?
No, they wear gloves. Surely you wear gloves, right?
Yeah, it's what they use to trap kangaroos. That's what.
No,
you can't not wear gloves in -20. Your hands will turn blue.
No, I wear gloves and everything. You just got to wear layers.
I remember so many years ago traveling to Winnipeg, or as the wrestlers would call it, Winterpeg, and it was the record coldest day of the year. And I got out of the airport and I walked out to get the rental car, and I hopped a loogie, and it shattered by the time from my mouth to the concrete. It shattered. It was -54.
Wow. Yeah, I know it doesn't get that cold here. I miss like Toronto, but like Winnipeg, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, Toronto. Yeah, Toronto's like usually like -10 ish, like that. Whatever, -20. But yeah, I never even felt anything. Like it almost felt hot. Like it was a very bizarre sensation. Like you breathe in, and it's like you stand over like hot steam when you breathe, and it kind of takes your breath away.
Yeah.
It was so weird. Yeah, very, very bizarre.
I'd hate to see a Sinn Bodhi loogie. Huddle on the ground.
Well, it's a good thing that everybody likes to wear masks these days, because I sure do like hawking loogies out my sunroof when I'm doing my errands. So
yeah.
we just got those mask mandates lifted today, which I am so happy. My wife literally called me crying seeing that the governor had dropped the mask mandates. I'm like, I am over that
for a while. I think
just in time. Yep.
Yeah. I know you guys are probably getting pretty harsh stuff down in Australia. That's why I love communicating with you guys and stuff, and really seeing like, hey, are you guys okay? Everybody good down there? And just seeing you guys making cool stuff just lets me hopefully know that you guys aren't going too insane, because I know it was very bizarre here for quite a while. And I know Canada, again, motherland, where Canada, where I'm from and where Duarte is, and this going through all the weird stuff. And I don't know, Duarte, I don't know how you feel about the truckers, but I just want to see everybody be happy. I don't want to get into it. I'd rather just talk about rubber toys and talk about little dudes in spandex and talk about shitty real life stuff. But I want this to go away so everyone could have fun. That's basically 100%.
At the end of the day, that's what it is, right?
100%.
I want wrestling shows to come actually to Toronto, because I actually my nephew actually likes wrestling, so now I actually want to take him to a show. And I can't wait until wrestling shows are allowed back here, so I can actually take him to one.
So you can't even, they don't have live shows there or anything?
There hasn't been a live show in, at least where I'm from, like Toronto area, like Kitchener, like that, that nothing for like 2 years.
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
So before I just, I'm going to not talk about real life anymore, and I'm going to go right back to all these awesome toys. But all I got to say is, Trudeau, I would love to wrestle Trudeau. I wouldn't take a dime for that. Give me a steel cage match. Give me a barbed wire match. I would. I just want to go to a live. I want to go to a live wrestling show, and I want to take my nephew, and I think he's 5 or 6, and he really likes it now. And his favorite wrestler is John Cena. So I got him that big plush one. So when wrestling goes back again, we're gonna take him, and if you make sure you have an indie card over here, and I'll take him to watch you. But you'll probably scare the shit out of him. But so I probably won't take him to see you because you're scared him. So I think that's a bad idea.
Hey, Duarte, got to put the come on segment on.
Put it on, man.
Come on.
With all the crazy things going on in the past and present, we have a man who will tell you exactly how he sees it. Come on with Duarte the Pot.
He puts me on again. Put the picture I told you. So there was a photo that Brutus showed me, and it's a British Bulldog going for $36.55. And the description says acceptable condition, has hole drilled through the chest and various spots with scrapes and damage to the rubber. One big mark on the back under the neck, a few paint chips, paint scuffs, and spots regular aging and use. Paint chip to the left eye. Please see photos for details. And you see the price? $36. Come on, who's the evil kid in Canada that did this? Would you guys pay that? Peter, for $36.
Bargain. I'll tell you what you could do. You could put putty through that hole and make a custom out of him.
Yeah, but for $36, you're going to buy a Davey Boy Smith?
That's actually probably about $3 worth of putty to go in that hole. That'll take a fair bit of putty. $3 worth of putty. Add that onto your price.
I can't believe the detail of
what made the hole.
They give like a chip under
drill
the
for sure.
Sort of that's
someone was using it as target practice. Looks like.
What would happen with a bullet? A bullet wouldn't go through it; it'd bounce off. Surely,
it'd be a bit more melting, maybe.
You know, when I see a picture like that, it just makes me think like, oh, what can we do with that? How can we customize that? But then also my thoughts go right to where Peter was talking about the 3D stuff. I'm like, well, you know, Davey Boy's like this or Dynamite. I can't remember which one's which way, with arms this way and arms this way. But like on the 3D, you can mirror them. So if you want Davey Boy to be over here, or you want to make him thicker, taller, or whatever, you know, the sky's the limit. Because like when you're customizing, chopping up rubber vintage wrestlers, or if you're casting a wrestler to make him out of resin or whatever, he's the exact size. But with the 3D stuff, you can make him, you know, you can make a Davey Boy upper body, but flip him so he's mirrored image, and then you can give him Hulk Hogan bottom legs, and you can give him a so-and-so head, or you can shrink them, stretch them, whatever, add this and that and the other to them. It just sky's the limit. Like I really enjoy Kevin Pelkey's stuff. I kind of, that's where my brain is going and stuff. And then what Peter was talking about, the 3D, like just, it's such a fun new toy to play with.
Well, of course, they do a lot of great stuff, but also doing like out in the rubber, like a one of, it's also good to have. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Yeah, totally. Totally.
But yes, but having the tool of 3D printing is 100% better, right? And you can make figures a lot faster, and it's easier to paint. And if you need to redo it, you just hit print and go at it again.
Yeah, and too, like, so I don't think really any of us are mass producing any of these things, but you know, again, like we're pretty much at the worst of days, we're unofficial bootleggers, I guess, because we don't own the rights to this stuff, and you know, to mass produce anything. Like I've seen some guys go, well, I was the first to it. You're a bootlegger, man. You know, so honor amongst thieves and just shut the hell up and enjoy making these toys. But like, if somebody sees something that I've made and they're like, and I've sold it already, and somebody's like, hey, could I get one of those? I'm like, yeah, I could make you one. I just don't say, hey, I'm going to make 1,000 of these or something. Like I'll make one, and if somebody wants another one and it's gone, then I will make them again. And if it's 3D printed, yeah, you just hit a button. So it's easier as opposed to resculpting another little dude. Like I've done that too, which weirdly, the first one is super fun to sculpt. The second one is mind numbing for me to redo a figure by hand. That just is like I made I'll send you guys a photo. It's an Iceman Parsons, and it was a rubber chop with epoxy on it. And it turned out pretty fun. And dude bought it. And then somebody else saw the picture and was like, hey, would you make me one? And I'm thinking, I'm going to sculpt that on 3D because I do not want to just recreate this with putty and clay and whatever. It just, for me, my brain doesn't want to do like reruns. I'll print them and stuff like that.
There was a discussion on Rubber Rumble during the week, and some people were quite anti the 3D printing because they believe it's taking the creativity, the artwork out of the customizing technique.
Well, they're idiots.
You guys listening feel about that, and Sinn, Peter, I'd like to get your thoughts as well as Dwight and Brutus.
They're assholes. I don't like
there's a famous essay by Walter Benjamin, Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction, that they might want to start off with, but that might be a little bit too highfalutin artsy. But anyway, you guys are the customizers. I've never made a custom in my life.
Yeah, you've done a digital one.
They're not real, apparently.
Hey, they're done work. You've done work. That's art. It doesn't matter how you do it.
For sure.
Some people paint a picture. I was mid-40s before I did anything art related in my life. I did art in year 7 at high school, and that's it. never did art, never did anything, never drew, never painted, never did anything until I started doing these figures. So that was, I was like 43 years old when I started doing it.
For me, it was 2 years ago. As soon as everything went to lockdown, I was your home board, and then I was just like, let me try, and then boom, so I just have to keep my mind busy, right?
This last 2 years, if I wasn't doing this, I don't know, I don't know, I probably would have played Xbox till my fingers bled instead. You know what I mean? Or something to keep me busy. Or this kept me sane. It really did. We were locked down for a long time here in Australia, in Sydney, and Melbourne. I think you guys were too. So
people have to remember this is a hobby. Do what makes you happy. If you want to get a 3D print and paint it to how you want it to look, go for it. It's not taking the art away from it. You're painting it. Your work's gone into the paint work. If you want to sculpt something, great. You're a genius. Sculpt something amazing. Hand sculpt it. It's even more mind-blowing to me than a digital print. But it doesn't mean it's better. It's just mind-blowing. You've done that by hand. Wow. 3D printing in itself is an artwork. If you want to buy a 3D print, it's no different to you buying one of Zashman's mold or custom casts. It's still a figure there that you have to paint. So do whatever makes you happy. This is a hobby. This is meant to be fun. You're doing art, whatever you're doing. Sin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I don't get why somebody would say, I don't like, I mean, they can obviously not like or like stuff, no problem. Everybody's allowed to have their opinions, no problem. But when they say, you shouldn't do this because of this or whatever, I disagree, where if you don't like 3D stuff, then don't look at it or buy it or whatever. If you want to just chop up these little vintage toys, then that's your prerogative. I think there's only so many of those vintage toys to go around. So when we extinct those, that'll kind of suck.
I don't think they're not going to go extinct. You tell them, Brutus.
Well, I just think sorry, go ahead.
Series 6 maybe, but there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them. But I'm Sin, I don't mean to talk over you, but
no, you're good.
It's to follow on from what you said, and I think you've described yourself as like a friendly anarchist before. What gives these people, where do these people think they have the right to make the rules?
Right, we're just making toys for nostalgia and just for sanity. So do what you want. If you want to chop up these things and make other stuff, if you want to do 3D or you want to hand sculpt, I think Peter Arco makes awesome head to toe play sculptures. They're wonderful. Yeah. I think Tom Veg makes awesome 3D head sculpts. I think different people do different things. Like Todd Tomeo does some really wonderful stuff. I love watching Zash and just everybody. I just love seeing what everybody comes up with and going, wow, why didn't I think of that? That's amazing.
You do some amazing sculpts as well. I've seen some of your sculpts come out that are mind-blowing as well.
Oh, thank you.
Maxine.
I think even the art of designing something in a 3D, on a 3D software is in itself, art. It's not just it's not like you just go, all right, I want to make a figure this size with these proportions and you've got to do that, right? You've got to make that. You've got to put everything into the software to make it. That's why I haven't started the 3D printing. It's probably I do more the sort of the silicon molds. So I know Zash you've upgraded to 3D printing now.
Yeah, well, not so much upgrade. I'm still doing the other stuff. But what I wanted to quickly say is sometimes you 3D print a figure that you want to use for a different figure, and you're still printing that out. But it's no different to grabbing an LJN, because you're still doing putty on it. You're still putting uniforms on it. You're still doing stuff on it. You still do your epoxy work on this 3D printed figure. But basically, you're turning it into a different figure. But you want to use that to start off with a base. So 3D printing can be very helpful. And you're still using your sculpting artwork on that figure to turn it into something else. I want to quickly hear something from Brutus Valentine, if that's all right.
And now, it's your chance to challenge the big historian himself. ask a question, or try to stump the LJN Mastermind. Ladies and gentlemen, how's that? With the Fixtorian, Brother Brutus Valentine.
We actually have a letter this week, so maybe we haven't had a letter for a long time. So maybe we should go back to that. And since you love putting the camera on, this letter is from Gilbert Poindexter from Newfoundland and Labrador. Hello, panel members who I detest. I know I said I'll never watch your show again, but I gave you one last chance since you had a Canadian legend from the WWF Golden Age. But again, you have failed me. This man is not an LJN. One of those little boy-sized Hasbros maybe, but not a full 8-inch of rubber man at all. And he's a disgrace to the proud uniform of the RCMP. Really, I would have preferred Johnny K9, Iron Mark Sharp, or even the True Star of WrestleMania 3, because heaven knows I could finally do with a little beaver in my life. Anyway, I will never watch again. Oh, well, Gilbert, if you're never going to watch again, that's fine. But stop sending us letters.
Look, guys, can we get some letters from our listeners, whether you're watching live, listening live, watching later? Get a letter and send it to a man on Facebook called Brutus Valentine. Tell him it's a letter for the LJN Fight Night Podcast. We'll read it live on the podcast. We're sick of Point Dexter. What's his name?
Gilbert Poindexter from Dildo, Newfoundland and Labrador.
Gilbert said 3 times he's going to stop watching this show.
Two times. This is the second time.
Writing us a letter and continuing watching. You know what, Gilbert? Get out of here. We don't want your support, right?
No. But it's still a good letter, though.
He sticks around more than some characters.
If you guys want to write a letter, criticize us or give us praise, do whatever you want. We don't care. We take it with a grain of salt. You can tell us how stupid Zash is. You're sick of listening to his voice. You're sick of Dwart falling asleep at the end of the episode because he's so many joints. You're sick of Brutus being so small in the middle. Why has he got such a small little screen in the middle? Because he's doing it on a stupid iPad or something. Go on, give us shit. Say what you want about us. We don't care. But before we go,
we care for our guests. That's a different type of thing. That's a respectful relationship.
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask you guys a question? This just popped into my head when they were doing the whole Ask Brutus. If somebody's asked this before, I apologize. Just this is not building this up to be any big thing. I'm just something that just popped into my head, and I'm legit curious. Do any of you know? I don't know the answer, so I'm not. Hey, this is the answer. I'm so knowledgeable. It's not that. Do you know how many sculptors sculpted all the LJNs? Like how much? Like, because you can obviously see there's different sculptors that did this guy and this guy, or that guy and that guy. Do any of you know how many sculptors were commissioned to do those?
What a great question. When I first was doing the deeper research and contacted Bill from from LJN, he came on in 1985, and what he did was he said, I'll go to my Rolodex, and for younger people that was like a spinning list of addresses. He told me all the sculptors and freelancers he worked with, but he couldn't identify whether they were working on Thundercats or Voltron or on their other lines. So I wanted to attribute each sculptor to their figure, but he couldn't determine who did what. But you guys are experts, and if you actually have a look, there's styles. You can follow styles of who might have done the same sculpting. The other thing is, with the 1989 ones, I don't know how some of those came about. Like the Ultimate Warrior is back to that cartoony round face style. So I think Mark Butcher was a big sculptor of the 1984 series. Bill did a number, including the new Hulk Hogan's. But no, I can't say for sure how many there were. But Bill's gone. He's on Instagram now, Bill, and Joe Petka has mentioned him a number of times. He's a really friendly guy, and he might now be thinking more about, might have more time to reflect on who he worked with. There was a guy called Stephen who I looked up who's still working, but it's all dim to me now. I'd say maybe 6 without the 1989 sort of mysteries.
It just made me think about it because we were all talking about it earlier about how you could tell Zash's stuff, you can tell Tom's stuff, you can tell my stuff, you can tell this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy. So I just think it's neat to see okay, you can see that Beefcake, maybe Valentine, Orendorff, Bundy. I guess they were probably one guy. And the guy that did that original Sergeant Slaughter and the Jimmy Snuka, how they had those really sort of rigid-looking poses with the really sort of small little skinny legs and little undies, a simplified look. You can tell they were a little bit of one thing. And how Stud and Hogan have those bent knees like they're trying to, I don't know, squat a barbell or drop a deuce or something. Yeah. You can see if you really look, you can see, or like you said, the cartoony Ultimate Warrior versus the sort of more realistic red shirt Hogan or the Warlord or something.
Well, what about the scale? Do you reckon you could tell by the scale that they were all working off, like one guy working off one scale and another guy working off another scale? Because Valentine's the tallest one out of them, so.
Like for me, one of my things, I'm a total height nerd. I like to try to do size accurate. So I'm never going to do a crush out of like a Jake the Snake body, because that Jake the Snake, who Jake is in real life, he's super tall. He's 6'6", barefoot. I look like Hornswoggle next to Jake the Snake in real life. I'm 6'1" and change. But to make, I'm never going to make a Sid Vicious or a Crush or something that's just a small little guy. Like I want them to be huge, and when I 3D print, I can make them as big as I want, like those Andres or whoever. I just was in the middle of making an Ox Baker, so I made him huge because he was fucking huge.
Yeah,
so.
Well done.
He killed a man,
I would
What's
assume
that?
He
What was that, Brutus?
He killed a man.
He killed a man. That thing that followed Ox Baker with his heart punch in the ring. How a way for that to travel to a town before Ox Baker does every time. Yeah, Jake's height ratio was really low, and so I've got the weight ratios and the heights in there. And I think the Slickster's even worse. His height ratio, but yeah. You give those figures that size, and that 1985 Series 2, where they were oversized on 3 figures, was a bit of an anomaly. So, Ox Baker. I
remember joking with Jake, saying, "What rocket scientist thought it'd be a good idea to have your arms up like this? How are you supposed to fucking DDT anybody like this?" He's like, "Brother, I didn't fucking make that decision. I didn't fucking do it."
Hey, Pete, have you made an Ox Baker?
I have.
Yeah.
They there was a line of figures that were made. I'm going to say mid to late 90s. They were pretty, not the. They weren't fantastic. Legends of Professional Wrestling.
And they
actually made it. Yeah, they actually made an Ox Baker. So I've used that head on and made one. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got them all, the 24 and the 24 bloody ones.
Yeah, the bloody ones. Yeah, that's right. I think they even had some. Did they have glow in the dark or clear ones or something like that?
Yeah, they had. I think a King Kong Bundy glow in the dark. I don't have that one, but I just bought them all in one go because it was so hard to buy things at that time. I took a chance, got them all in one go, came over on the ship a few months later, and they're still in their box. Yeah,
so I think to my knowledge, that's the only figure that was made of him. So I've used that head, and those figures, the heads fit perfectly on the Hasbro bodies.
Okay, yeah.
So they're the same scale, and even the peg is it for most of the bodies it fits in perfectly. So yeah.
And that Ox Baker head is sort of like kind of a cartoony, it's a really cool looking head, but it's a cartoony head.
Yeah, that's right.
I grew it, like I put it in the goop and grew it, like hydrospanned it and all that stuff, and then cast and molded it and used that. It made me giggle. It was such a fun toy to do. Like to me, that's like the wrestlers, like the old, like where they're just like not even human. They're just like, it looked like his mom, made Sweet Whoopi to a bull or something, and 9 months later, out comes Ox Baker.
Yeah,
it does not look like a normal human.
He was in a movie. Was it Blade Runner? He was in. There was There was a wrestling match at the beginning.
Escape from New York, I think.
Escape from New York.
Yeah.
So that's where
I got to meet him one time. He was super nice. He's massive. He's older, of course, and probably not as thick as he once was, but he was so tall, but he was super friendly. He was a really fun conversation.
Well, Sinn, what have you got in the pipeline for wrestling wise? Are you still going to wrestle? Are you going to retire? What's the go?
No, I'm still going. I'm going to go till the wheels fall off. I think I got a few good years left in me, and then even after that too. Like currently I coach, and I'm going to continue to coach because I'll be able to do that longer than I can actually wrestle. But no, I fly out, drive out wherever I can, wherever promoters are paying, I'm playing. Just wrestled Tommy Dreamer a couple weeks ago in a big hardcore match, which was a lot of fun. We just try to giggle our way through it. Like the fans see us really digging into each other, but we're just giggling because we're giant children. We rolled around, we choke slammed each other in hot Cheetos, all sorts of fun, ridiculous stuff. I fly out. So where do I go next? This week I'm at a small, not a small show, a nice little show in Anaheim, California. And then after that, I don't even know where the heck I'm going. I just have to look at my day planner. My wife does all like the travel stuff for me. So I don't know. I'm a giant child. She does all the real life stuff. But
and your wife's quite the singer. Your wife's
quite
the singer, right? Your wife's quite the singer.
Yeah. Did I send you that video? That the kind of photo montage?
Yes.
That's my wife singing that whole thing. That's all my wife.
Amazing.
So she's singing like this sweet, nice, cute, whatever, and then it goes into like death metal and right back into cute, back to death metal. She's scary.
Yeah, great singer. Peter, what have you got in the pipeline before we head off?
Customize or life?
Talk about whatever you want, mate.
I'm getting back into soccer season, so I'm about to start old man soccer again, which is always a fun watch for my kids. They love seeing how bad I am. I've got I bought a stack of heads a couple of months ago when there was a sale on. So I'm just getting through the box at the moment of all the 3D printing heads. Nice. From Warsman and Veg. I'm just loving those. And there's another guy who's actually I've picked up a few as well. He's on Instagram. He's done the Shane Douglas that you would have seen in that intro video. What's it? Classic
Mark
wrestling.
Cochran? Was it Mark Cochran?
I've got some of Mark's as well. Yeah. Classic wrestling, I think his name is. He's I've got what's the guy's name? He had the cancelled Galoob, big guy.
Don't say the word cancelled, please. Don't say the word cancelled.
Yeah, PN News. So I'm gonna do a PN News and a Mantor. That's probably my next two big projects that I'm gonna do. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Juan, what about yourself?
The figures that you sent, those cast figures that I ordered from you. Yep. Working on like those I could paint inside, but besides that, no, not much really going because I can't build outside because it's too damn cold. Like I said, maybe another month or two, I'll come out of hibernation and start making some again. Because I can actually, I could go outside in just a t-shirt, not freezing like while I'm cutting stuff and acetone and sand and all that shit.
Little heater should do the job. Little bar heater.
You don't know what cold is. You stay up there in the warm or down there wherever you are. Down there.
Brutai, what have you got going on? Another book?
Actually, apart from work, too much work and not enough income from that, but we'll see how that turns out. I actually wrote the first half of Backlund's profile, and then I wrote the second half of David Sammartino's profile. And I wrote the most of the US Express's profile. These are tests, and researched the Freebirds and a couple others. So I'm just testing how long these might take me to do, so I can do a better estimate of whether I can get this done alongside the 19 other books that I've got to write this year.
Okay, sounds good. Sinn, have you heard of a lady wrestler called December?
No.
A friend of one of the guys in the groups, Jeffrey Betts. He's commissioned me to do a lady wrestler called December. She's in a cheerleading suit and stuff. Real cute looking wrestler. So I'm doing a couple of. I'm going to start working on a couple of them. But I just want to see, am I bigger and stronger than you, Sin?
I don't know. The internet doesn't really show me. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you're about 1.5 inches tall right now on my phone. How tall are you?
I'll let the viewers decide.
You're looking really great. You're looking good. How tall are you?
6'2".
6'2". Okay, you're just a hair taller than I am. How heavy are you?
I'm 90 last I checked.
What's 90 kilos in pounds? What's that, about 210?
198 pounds.
198 pounds. So you're a 1/2 inch taller than me, but I have you by 50 pounds.
50 pounds.
And I have tricks. You have awesome tricks painting. I have awesome tricks doing mean things to humans in real, with real bones and real muscles and stuff.
I
would never do that to you because I like you. So you're safe. You're all safe. I think you're all wonderful. You have all jokes aside, you have all kept me sane throughout this last couple of years of craziness. Up is down and down is up. LJNs and all this, all the nostalgia has kept me. I'll
pay my dues. I'll be very respectful. But if I come over to the US, will you train me to be a wrestler? And is it too late for me to be in the WWE?
How old are you?
43, I think. 43.
Never say never. Never say never. And I would actually, so I have so many people come in and train from all over the world. And what people would train as to be an actual wrestler. But also what I do, which is a really good feel-good thing. It makes me I'm so damn proud. We call it the fantasy camp. And it would be anybody that just wants to kind of scratch that itch. You could do half day, 1 day, 3 day. And it's basically just, it's exactly that. It's like, if you want to play guitar with Gene Simmons, you want to, rock and roll fantasy camp, baseball fantasy camp, it's the same thing. And so we would kind of cliff note you depending on how physically able or unable you are. So you look very capable. So we could kind of push the envelope a little bit. But I've had 60-year-old lawyers where they just stick their arm out and I run into it and I take the bump and they never even felt me. And, but on the tape, when they they walk away with a full match and they're like, holy shit, this was so fun. I've had autistic dudes. I've had Marines. I've had deaf dudes. I've had big out of shape guys. I've had scrawny little guys. I've had really muscular guys and girls. So anybody that wants to do that is welcome to come and do that in Vegas with me. No problem.
That sounds fantastic. I mean,
I've seen every single person that has come in there, guy or girl, in shape or not in shape, old or young. They all walk out of there like giant children. They're so enamored, they're hitting the ropes and hearing the crash of the ring. I'm used to it. It's another day at the office for me. But to see people get so, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love it thoroughly. All right, you couldn't do this to your body.
Take a bump and I'd do it except for one thing. If you drop a shoulder block like you dropped last year on your student, then I think you'd send me out through the wall if that was the case.
No, I'm nice. In the realm of sports entertainment, I dance very safely with my dance partner.
Yeah, so did Joe Kizuna, mate. But I saw that video of him almost squashing that wrestler that he hated. Well, mate, did you see that video? It was doing its rounds on Instagram the other day.
Kind of gone are the days of wrestlers crunching other wrestlers for whatever reason. Maybe they're new guys or they have heat with each other or something. It's always kind of been a no-no. And to some degrees, it can be a black ball offense. What's that?
There'd be more lawsuits, I guess, now, would there?
Yeah, I think the landscape is a lot more litigious and a lot more really just, to be honest, not to sound like a gruff old carny, but just so many dudes and people they're just so damn soft these days. Everybody's so triggered about everything. You know what triggers me? The fucking word triggered. I hate that word. It's the pussiest word I've ever heard. It's so stupid. If you're going to get in the ring or you're going to anything, just be a dude,
So imagine the trigger alerts now before Sheik and Volkov doing the national anthem.
Right.
Trigger may contain traces of sweat.
Right.
I mean, Sheik up there,
Well, you see all these like funny memes and different things, like, you know, back in the day, like it was like, you know, man, wrestlers sure have changed, where you see like the road warriors that are want to dine on fear and dine on death. And then the next, now in the modern day, the fans hurt my feelings, you know, like.
Yeah. We need more Kevin Owens around today.
What's that? Yes.
Kevin Owens around, mate.
Yeah. Well, like me and Dreamer were both joking when we were wrestling. We're in the locker room, and we both kind of like whispering to each other, kind of like, hey, there's some really great guys and girls on the indies scene, but 9 out of 10 times, and we were just looking at each other like, man, we're happy we get to have the 1 out of 10 tonight. Like, this is going to be fun. And so a lot of times, like if I'm wrestling a young dude, it just like, even in the realm of sports entertainment, I'm just thinking, man, there is no way in hell this 160-pound little twerp in undies and kick pads has got to stand a freaking chance. So it's my job to make that person look good. Again, you look at Luke and you look at Darth, you're like, there's no fucking way. But with storytelling and with Spielberg and George Lucas and everybody at the helm, and they make it make sense. So usually, for my own sanity, I find always a way to make it fun, because I love wrestling thoroughly. But 9 out of 10 times, I just pretend I'm wrestling Macho Man or Roddy Piper, because the kid standing across from me, I'm like, no.
100%. Well, guys, I appreciate you coming on the show, Sinn Bodhi.
Thank you for having me.
Superstar, Peter. You're fantastic. Thank you. Thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you all next week. Bye for now.